Well, thank you for coming out. So I didn't actually get to see your response to the question about who's still hanging on to their New Year's resolutions. Is anyone still holding on to a New Year's resolution that you set? So the rest of you, it's gone, or you didn't even bother to set one? I didn't bother. At a certain point, we're just like, we can predict the future, and why bother? I hope we're going to have some fun tonight. That sounded kind of serious at introduction. We're going to challenge you to stretch your limits, and I might actually tempt a few of you with some things. Hopefully this would be more fun than actual willpower burden or test of your willpower. So I did create this class, The Science of Willpower, because I was working as a health psychologist at Stanford University School of Medicine. They were sending me all over the place to talk to people about the things they needed to do to improve their health. And I would get there, and people would always say at the end, oh yeah, we know we're supposed to do that stuff. We just don't want to do it. And I heard that so many times, and if it wasn't that they didn't want to do it, it was that they couldn't do it. They felt like they couldn't do it. They couldn't do the exercise or change their diet or whatever it was that they had as a goal. And I realized that I needed to teach a class about how to make changes that are difficult, or changes where part of you wants to make it, but another part of you really doesn't want to, or has a conflicting goal, like wanting to eat the cookie instead of wanting to improve your cholesterol. So that's how the class came about. And it's the science of willpower because in my experience, that's where the best insights are. I love reading new studies and coming up with strategies for self-control based on the evidence. So what I thought I'd do tonight is take the two most common New Year's resolutions and share with you some of my favorite studies that illuminate very simple strategies for helping to achieve those goals. And those two most common resolutions are to get fit, lose weight, improve your health on that one side, and to break a bad habit. Quitting smoking is actually the most common, but the things we're going to talk about today could be appropriate for any sort of habit that you want to break or change. So I'll share with you some of the studies, and you'll leave with some very practical tips about how you could apply that to your own willpower challenges. And then at the end, when we do the book signing, an extra special treat tonight. I have an identical twin sister, Jane McGonigal, and they happen to have her book here, and I've been authorized to sign her books. But it's going to say Jane McGonigal, asterisk DNA. Rather than, sure. Okay, I was just seeing if you guys laugh at the science jokes.
And the title and theme of her book?
Reality is Broken, Why Games Make Us Better. And so if you think willpower is not fun enough, my sister is a lot more fun. So I'll play, not willpower. Play will make you better. Okay, so let me start with a little question, because every good study begins with a hypothesis, a prediction. Okay, so let's say that I am on a diet. I want to lose weight or improve my health. And I am facing down this temptation. And in fact, I'm going to eat the whole thing. Maybe not now, but maybe on the car ride home. I want to know what you think. Do you think that guilt, feeling bad about eating this cookie, the guilt that I might feel afterwards, is that going to help me resist the chocolate bar that I also happen to have? Just raise your hand and just vote. Your prediction. Would guilt, feeling a little bit bad about eating this cookie, is that going to help me resist this piece of chocolate?
No.
No. Okay, why not? Who has that hypothesis?
You've already done it. Might as well just go ahead and go for it.
That's the what the hell effect.
A lot of self-understanding.
Yeah, you have some experience with that? Great, okay, so we're going to get to the what the hell effect. Now let me tell you the study about this cookie and this piece of chocolate. So this is a study I call the donut study. And like many willpower studies, it's kind of mean. But that's how researchers, study the limits of willpower. So they invite in people who are on a diet for a study supposedly of how food influences mood. And when the dieters get to the study, they are forced to choose a donut, so they are complicit in this. They have to choose their flavor of donut, and then they're asked to eat the whole thing in about 5 minutes and drink a full glass of water. And that helps make sure that they feel uncomfortably full after they ate the donut, a little bit tight waistband after drinking all that water. Okay, so the setup is you've got dieters, and you just made them eat a donut, and now they're feeling uncomfortably full. This is a way to trigger guilt, pretty reliable way to trigger guilt in dieters. So the researchers of this study had a hypothesis, like many of you, that guilt is one of the main reasons that people fall off of the wagon, whether it's trying to lose weight or meeting any sort of goal. Because we all have setbacks when we are facing a challenge. And they understood that sometimes the harder we are on ourselves when we have a setback, the more likely we are to give in again, to say something like, what the hell, I've already eaten one donut or one cookie, I'm never going to change, I might as well really enjoy myself and eat this candy bar too. Okay, so that was what some of the research had suggested. So they said, let's see if we can actually make people feel less guilty. And would that give people more willpower? And this is the opposite of what most of us do and what most of us expect. That if you let yourself off the hook for that first indulgence, that might give you extra willpower. But that's exactly what they found. So in the middle of this study, half of the dieters who'd eaten the donut, the experimenter came in, sort of a little break in the study, and said, by the way, we've noticed that some people feel guilty about eating this donut because it's a little bit indulgent. Okay, so they're setting up a kind of awareness of the emotions. And then the experimenter says, I just want you to remember, everyone indulges sometimes. And that's that element of common humanity. So the fact that you had a setback, it doesn't mean there's something broken and wrong with you. It's part of human nature. And then the third thing that the experimenter said was, so please don't be too hard on yourself. That's it. 3-step message. Mindfulness of the emotion of guilt, common humanity that everyone indulges, and then just the request not to be hard on yourself, to be kind to yourself. And that single message that was kind of delivered in passing in between different parts of the study ended up having a pretty big effect on the next part of the study, which is when, so it wasn't exactly like this, but the researchers come in now with 3 bowls of candy and carefully chosen to appeal to everyone, the peppermint, the fruity, the chocolate. Put those 3 bowls of candy right in front of the dieters and say, okay, now the next part of the study is a taste test. And we would like you to eat as much of this candy as you need to report on different qualities of the taste. And the bowls were all pre-weighed, so they would know exactly how much candy each participant ate. And what they found was the dieters who had been told to forgive themselves, the dieters who let themselves off the hook for eating that donut, ate about 40% as much candy as the dieters who had not been told, it's no big deal that you indulge, don't be hard on yourself. And this is one example of this kind of counterintuitive finding that when you've given in to temptation, the worst thing you can do is start to become hard on yourself. And there's abundant research showing that shame and guilt are the biggest triggers for further relapse. And not just for dieting, but for alcoholics who are trying to stay sober. The worse that they feel about a drink, the more they drink the very next night. Same has been shown for gamblers. The worse they feel about losing money, the more likely they are to chase that loss by borrowing money and going back and gambling again. And even among procrastinators, you would think like, come on, you're putting something off. You got to get serious with yourself and get strict with yourself. But the worse procrastinators feel about procrastinating, the longer they procrastinate, the next opportunity they have. So this is the first strategy that I want to give you, especially those of you who have fallen off your New Year's resolution already. It's still kind of early in January. But that's human. Don't be hard on yourself. So the first strategy is just when you have these setbacks, to actually maybe even talk yourself through that same kind of message that the dieters in the study received. That is to be aware that we have this tendency to be hard on ourselves, that we feel guilty, maybe we feel disappointed in ourselves, or frustrated, sad, anxious, any difficult emotion. To be aware of that, and to remind yourself that that is part of any process of change or reaching a goal, and to kind of put yourself back on track by remembering your goal. So that's strategy number 1, self-compassion. And I will be enjoying this cookie later on. Okay, next strategy.